Hi everyone, and hi everyone. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Welcome to the Gem Museum Brunch Time Gem Talk. And my name is Kunming, and today we have a special guest, Jim Richards, from all the way from Perth, and we're going to talk about gold mining, diamond mining. So before we proceed, those of you who are watching in, let's do some like and share. If you have anyone who likes gold or diamonds, do share this broadcast with them. So at this point, let me go and do my homework. I'm going to share it with my friends on Facebook. Okay, so where is it? So just share. Okay. Hope you are well. Just like and share with your friends on Facebook. And I see myself. Hope you are well. Share it with my friends on Facebook. Talk. Okay, so where is it? So with share Jim Richards mining. Share mining. Your friends on Facebook. Okay. Oh, right. Share. Copy link. Let me share it with my friends on WhatsApp. Share with my young diamond tier friends. And okay, yeah, I'm speaking with Jim. So this is what we do nowadays to share with friends and family on interesting topics. Some of you might have visited the Allendale mine with him. We will be talking about diamond and gold. Okay, hi everyone. See that some people are coming in. Just comment below and ask us any questions later. It's going to be at the most an hour talk. So and it's going to be very exciting. Let me put on some music. All right. So let's welcome to the stream Andrew and also Jim Richards. Hi Jim. Hang on, I
Guys,
unmute
hi
you.
everyone.
Hi Jim. So thanks for joining us today, and very excited about this. I've been reading your book, so just to refresh my memory before I meet you, and I'm very inspired by it. So I just want to share my screen now about what you have been doing. Okay, let me just share the screen. Okay. So hi everyone. So welcome to today's brunch jam talk. And I know normally we have it at 12 to 1, but today to fit with Jim's schedule, so we do it 10 to 11. And just want the objective of this talk is really to connect our past and new audience, and also to answer any questions, about any topic about we're going to talk about. So today we have with us today Jim Richards, author of this book, The Gold Rush, and also the executive chairman of Gibb River Diamonds. So, Jim, maybe tell us about yourself and what you've been doing lately.
Well, thanks, Kunming, and thanks for the opportunity to talk on your webinar series. It's a great pleasure to meet everybody here. I'm a geologist. I was trained at London University. I was sponsored through my university geology degree by the military, the British Army. After I graduated in geology, a course I really loved and enjoyed, I went on to join the British Army. I went to the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, the Officer
Wow.
Training School at Sandhurst. Then on to the British Parachute Regiment, where I spent 3 years in the British Army. And after that, it got a bit boring in the parachute regiment. Wasn't a lot going on at that peaceful period, late 1980s. I did a
Oh,
tour in Ireland, but that was about it. So I read in a newspaper report about a great gold rush at a place called Serra Pelada in Brazil, one of the most famous modern gold rushes of all time. And
wow.
I decided to resign my hard-won commission and to jump on an aeroplane to Central America and learn a new language and work my way south to Brazil to try and join this gold rush. So I did go on a gold rush myself, and spent some years in South America. The adventures from that, mining gold and also diamonds down out there. Did go to Brazil sometimes. I never made it to Serra Pelada, though. They shut the mine down after a big collapse, and a lot
Oh
of people
man.
died. A lot of people died there, so probably just as well I didn't make it there. But I did spend some years in Guyana, which is in northern South America, a beautiful country. They speak English there. It's got a
Okay.
wild, just beautiful jungle, rainforest terrain. And for those of you who have read Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's book, The Lost World,
Yeah.
he based that on those Tepui Mountains, those flat top, high mountains
Wow.
that come out of the jungle. They rise out of the jungle in Guyana and parts of Brazil. Mount Roraima is one of them, the highest waterfall in the world. Angel Falls is off Mount Roraima at 10,000 feet. And on top of these plateaus, you have gold and diamond deposits in the
Wow.
rivers, alluvial. So I spent some time, some years on top of these tepuis. Used to fly in there on light aircraft and take all your equipment and food and everything with you. And I set up a small diamond and gold dredging operation there. And I did that for some time until that adventure ended, as all adventures seem to end quite badly.
Wow.
Well, all adventures seem to end in failure, but anyway, that's not the point. But that was a sort of great introduction to geology and to mining, and from there, I just loved it, and my career has progressed, hopefully more constructively than some of the disasters I faced in the jungles and the rivers of South America.
Wow, that's an illustrious career, Jim. You know, from studying geology to going to the parachute regiment, and then going to some this Guyana, and wow, this that was really an adventure. So I still remember I got to meet you through a friend, and then he introduced us, Glenn, yeah. And then after that we organized a trip. I just going to show a trip to this place in Allendale mine. In 2019 you brought us there with a bunch of young diamanteers, and to see your mine. So you really progress so much, from just your one man show, doing a dredging, and going on to buying a option in a mine, starting a company, and then wow, can you tell us more about how do you get from like that one man show and going to get to own a mine, and then running a company?
Yeah, thanks, Kunmin. I mean, that's a good question, and it's funny that when you do things in your life, in my experience, particularly if you go a bit out there and you do quite ambitious things that people just think are crazy, really. Although you might initially fail, you do learn an awful lot of things along the way, and you grow your character and yourself along the way. So on the sort of shoulders of all those failures, you learn and you change and you grow, and as a
Yeah,
result of that, you become a much more effective and sort of knowledgeable person. And that's certainly what happened to me. And by the time I had got here in Australia and done numerous mining jobs and mining adventures in other countries, including Laos and 2 years in Laos, 2 years in Pakistan, and some time elsewhere too, I was a much more effective and knowledgeable person. So instead of
yeah,
trying to do everything on my own, including digging it up, all the logistics, all the shoveling. And I've never really succeeded on my own. I've only ever really succeeded when I've built teams and built companies and built organizations. And then things seem to go much better. You syndicate the risk and you delegate authority to other people, and you build and a team is much more effective than an individual. So that's what happened with this Allendale Diamond project.
Yeah.
I floated due to, I mean, after those adventures in Guyana, I did know quite a lot about diamonds, and it's been a great interest of mine throughout my life. And that's one reason, Kunming, you and I have clicked as friends. I think we've got a common interest and a common love of the diamond industry.
Yeah.
And it was very kind of you and your father, Ty, to come and visit Allendale and the other young diamantaires. And it was a good, fun visit, wasn't it?
It was good fun. Thank you so much for your hospitality. It was really a great adventure. Wow, I can't forget it.
Yeah, it was a great trip. And mate, I mean, Allendale is an absolutely fascinating place geologically. So diamonds form deep in the earth, and where the temperature and the pressure is appropriate to form diamonds. The diamond stability field is about 110 kilometers down in the craton, and then the only way they can get from there up to the surface is through these very violent volcanic eruptions, which take place in very magnesium-rich ultramafic rocks, either called kimberlites or lamproites. They work their way up through the Earth's surface, through faults, etc. And when they get close to the surface, they hit the water table. Now, if you can imagine a magmatic material, which is maybe 500 to 1,000 degrees, hitting water, you get this massive explosion. Now, you can see it on the coast off Hawaii in places where magma hits seawater, and yet there's wonderful explosions under the water. But if that happens in a constrained environment, what happens is that at a certain point, when you're close enough to the surface, the expansionary pressure from that adiabatic explosion overcomes the constraining pressure of the rock, and the rock gives away, and the pipe and the magmatic eruption it works its way up very quickly, and you get this massive adiabatic explosion, which throws rocks some considerable distance out of the crater and forms this crater in which lies this kimberlite or lamproitic material, which usually doesn't, but on rare occasions it carries diamonds, and on extremely rare occasions, one of these kimberlites in 1,000 would carry commercial quantities of diamonds. At the Allendale field, there's about it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, lamproite field in the world. There's about 120 odd lamproite intrusions there, several of which I've personally found. But only 2 of them have ever been commercially mined. That's the Allendale 9 and Allendale 4 lamproite pipes. And if you like, Kunming, I'll maybe talk to your guests about how those pipes were found originally. You interested in that?
Yeah, why not? Share with us.
So finding diamond mines is probably about the most fun you can have with your clothes on whilst you're doing it. If you don't mind several years of boredom while it's not going very well, because your chance of a geologist to actually find a diamond mine is one in a million. It's very, very difficult thing to do.
Yeah, of course.
But anyway, a lot of money and time was thrown at this in the 1970s when De Beers had the absolute iron grip on the world diamond stage, a monopoly, and numerous other companies were trying to break that. Northern Australia, these stable cratons where diamonds tend to form, were in Australia were seen as very, very geologically desirable places to explore for diamonds. So a number of companies put a fair bit of money in and multiply went over the whole of Australia in the cratonic Proterozoic and Archean rocks, and
Wow.
we went up every stream basically and took stream sediment samples, which effectively you sieve the sample and you end up with a couple of, I think it's 30 kilos of rock. I think it's something like that. And
Wow.
that material is then bagged and sent back to a laboratory. And that happened throughout Australia. Okay, there's not many places it didn't
The
happen.
30 kilos of rock, and then they
Yeah,
send it to the laboratory.
yeah.
They
And
would take a long time to test the stones.
well, it does. The laboratory then has to sort that material. They use a
Some kind of
fluid
system, I
called
guess.
tetrabromoethane, TBR, I think it's called. Yeah, and it's heavier than diamonds, but
All right.
it's lighter than
It's a
diamonds,
heavy
but it's
liquid.
heavier than silica. So the
Yeah.
silica will float and the diamonds will sink. So you put the material in a sieve, you put it in the tetrabromoethane, and the quartz and all the silica and the clays, they all float off, and the
Ah.
diamonds and the heavier material sinks to the bottom of the sieve. You then take that and you've got to dissolve it in hydrofluoric acid, which
Oh.
is like the worst like material, non-radioactive material on the
So
planet.
hang on, Jim. So they have to put it in this bromo fluid. It
Yeah,
separates the silica and the diamonds.
yeah.
Then after that, you take the so-called
The
the
heavies,
diamonds, the
yeah,
heavies, and then you put
yeah.
it in hydrochloric acid.
Hydrofluoric acid.
Like, oh man.
Okay, and that then dissolves everything apart from the diamonds and the some of the minerals like the ilmenites, the garnets, and some of the other minerals don't dissolve in that. Okay,
Oh.
so not every process uses hydrofluoric acid. Some people use other processes, but that's one
Okay.
of the techniques that's used. Okay, so by the time you've ended up with this, what's called the concentrate, it's only, I don't know, it might be 30 or 60 grams or so of minerals, and
Yeah.
that then is looked at under a microscope by mineral spotters, and they pick out how many pyrope garnets, how many chrome dioxides, how many microdiamonds are in that sample, and that then becomes a number that you put onto the river that
Yes.
sample was taken from. You then make a map of the entire region, mapping out all of these minerals in order to vector in on the diamond deposit. Because be aware, the kimberlites not only have diamonds in them, for every
Yes.
diamond they have hundreds of chrome dioxides, which are a green type of chromite. They have
Yes.
these beautiful pink garnets, which are called G10 garnets. And these are the
G10.
two main indicator minerals for diamonds. And indeed, when Chuck Fipke found his diamond mine at Ekati in Canada, he knew he kind of found it. There's a great book called Barren Lands about how he found
Wow.
that diamond mine. And they came across this beach on this lake in the northern Canada. Nobody had ever
Yeah.
been there apart from Aboriginal people. And this beach was a whole beach of pink chrome dioxide or chrome
Wow.
pink garnet. Sorry,
Garnets.
the entire beach was garnet, G10 pink garnet. So it's
Wow.
right amazing, you know. So anyway, that when you've got that map, you start vectoring in on where the diamond kimberlite might be, diamondiferous kimberlite, and you keep going doing that until you have to drill, and then hopefully when you drill you find the kimberlite. So that's diamond exploration 101. But in fact at Allendale, that process helped them to get close to Allendale. They then flew a geophysics survey, taking a magnetic signature of the rock, and these particular lamproites were they're high in magnesium and iron, and they show up very strongly as on a geophysical map. Okay, the surrounding sediments, which are Permian and Carboniferous limestones,
Yes.
they're very quiet. So the lamproites show up absolutely like glowing light bulbs, and then you can walk up to them. And the first geologist that walked up to E9, I forget his name now, in 1978, I think it was,
Yes.
he walked over E9 and he specced, i.e. he saw lying in this crater, in this diamondiferous E9 crater, he found about a 1 carat yellow diamond just sitting on
Wow.
the surface there.
1 carat.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So that then led to a massive diamond rush in this district where they, CRA, big mining company at the time, they put in a road, the road that you drove on, Kunming,
The Gibb
and
River Diamond Road, is it?
it's called the Roberts Road. It's put in
Robert's
by
Road.
the contractor was called Roberts that put the
Okay.
road in, and the geologist was a guy called Tom Redcliffe who put the very first road into the project. He is a very famous diamond geologist, and in fact, good friend of mine, and he is actually on our board of directors. And he put the road in, and the reason the road's got a kink in it, you can see it on Google Earth, is because his compass was getting affected by the vehicle. And he only when he worked it out, he was going to the wrong direction, that he had to correct. And the kink in the road after about 20 kilometers is that correction. It's still there, that kink, and that's a bit of the history of the place. And Tom is one of our directors. I was up there with him the other day. So
I remember the kink. You were telling
you
us
remember the kink. There you
you
go.
were
That's the
supposed to be
reason for
like
the
this,
kink.
but you went off already.
That's right. That's right. So anyway, they bulk sample. They put in a small sampling plant that did, I don't know, 300 or 400 tons a day or something like that. And they bulk sample. With diamond exploration, it's expensive at this point. You've got to basically take bulk samples, which is effectively mining about 300 or 400 tons per sample, because diamonds are such a small component of the ore body, more than any other commodity in the world. Okay, diamonds have got the lowest ratio
Yes.
of weight to ore.
Yes.
You have to treat a huge amount of ore to get some diamonds and figure out the mathematical grades of the ore body and if it's economic or not. So they set up a small bulk sampling plant, and they treated, 80 or 90 of those lamproids, and 2 of them had significant diamond deposits running at about roughly 7 or 8 carats per 100 tons.
Wow.
Was the grade, something like that.
Actually, that's quite high, 7 to 8 carats per 100
7 to
tons.
8 isn't bad, yeah. But don't forget, it's per 100 tons, not per ton.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so if you a carat of diamonds, a carat is 0.2 of a gram. So you are going to find approximately 1 gram of diamond in 100 tons of rock.
It's crazy.
It's hard. All right, so that takes a leap of faith to do that. There's a lot of dead samples in there.
Well, that's about diamond exploration. So it really costs a lot of resources and time, and you need the right expertise. If you dig at the wrong, if you do it well, you just get data. You need to also analyze the data, and after analyzing data, you got to call in some guy that deal with economics and see whether this thing is really economical, and then you go in. So even before you get the real mining happens, how long does it take for this exploration to take?
Well, in the case of Allendale, they found it in 1979, and they didn't mine it until 2001. Okay.
What?
Well, because the grade was too low. There's two main things. The grade was too low. The mining company CRA then 2 years later found Argyle in 1981, the famous Argyle diamond mine, where the pink diamonds come from, in the East Kimberley. It's on the other side of the Kimberley. Allendale's on the West Kimberley. And so they got distracted by that, and it was a much more profitable mine. At the time they found Allendale, the yellow diamonds were actually a pain. They didn't have a market for the yellow diamonds, and they wanted white diamonds. So they thought the diamonds were not good quality. In fact, it's turned out that the beautiful yellows that you get at Allendale, they are extremely desirable. And the reason that we've managed to do quite a lucrative deal on the project is because companies want to try to brand those yellow diamonds or colored diamonds, because with synthetic diamonds coming in, if you've got a branded colored stone, you have a point of difference. Maybe you might want to talk a little bit about that, Kunming.
Sure. Before I go there, there's a question from Brian. He says that, good day, y'all. I think he's Australian, from Adelaide, South Australia. What about red diamonds from Uchunga? South Australia. Where did they come from? Do you know about this?
Oof. Brian, you've got me there, mate. I'm not familiar with red diamonds from Achunga, so I'm aware of some diamond, a lot of kimberlites in South Australia, and a company led by a guy called Kevin Wills, spent 10 years doing kimberlite exploration there, and he found a lot of diamonds. He found a lot of kimberlites, but no macro diamonds in South Australia. I'm not aware of red diamonds from Achunga. There are some occurrences in Australia that people call diamonds, but they are other minerals. And like red garnets, sometimes are called red diamonds for marketing purposes. So I am not familiar with that one, Brian, and I can't help you there, mate. Sorry.
But I think what is interesting that you covered is that when you discover a mine, it may take 20 years or 30, almost 30 years to start mining it. So there's a possibility of more diamond mines, right? And more sources still.
Yeah. Well, I had this conversation with a journalist yesterday saying, "Oh, we're running out of diamonds," and the world has never run out of any commodity apart from arguably whale oil. There is no mineral that we're going to run out of. The only the economists love this argument that the minerals are all running out, and the minerals are not running out. What's happening is that they can get more expensive. You can get a shortage, but the geologists will always go out there and find more minerals that can be commercial depending on the price. Diamond mines can take 20 or 30 years to develop. It you find a marginal deposit can take a while to make the thing work and the prices to change. The main thing that stops development of diamond mines and other mineral deposits is politicians putting various restrictions. There might be environmental reserves, there might be wars, as in Africa. There might be, various issues stopping the development. And be aware, particularly in the African diamond mines, if you go to an unstable regime in West Africa, for instance, it's got some great diamonds. A big diamond mine, you might spend $300 million capitalizing it. If you spend $300 million getting all your equipment in and building the mine, and then the next day a bunch of kids with Kalashnikovs turn up and kick you out, then it ain't much of a diamond mine. It's not been a commercial success. So, this is where if you're in an environment like that, you want a very high grade, rich mine that you can pay back quickly with a low capex or capital expenditure.
Yeah.
The good thing about here in Australia, where you've got a stable regime, all right, the permitting is a pain. It really is. And I know because I did it for Allendale. But once you have it, you do have it. And the government can't do anything about it. They can't take it off you. All right. You take them to court. So there is a stability here. But what it does do is it raises the bar of what you can do. In the good old days, the prospectors would go out and an individual prospector could go out, he could mine gold, he could peg a lease, he could set up a small mining operation with a dry blower or dry panning or however he did it. But now, because of all the restrictions and the environmental and safety and all the other restrictions, and I'm not going to comment on whether they're good or bad because some are good and some are a bit onerous, but the safety stuff is generally very good. A very good change in the industry. I would agree with that. But it does lift the bar, and the mines that you used to be able to develop, these guys back in my gold project at Edgardino, for instance, they could develop a gold mine that would give them 70 or 80 ounces. Now you're going to need 50,000 ounces in order to get through all the permitting and the environmental and the studies and the consultants and the logistics and all the rest of it to make the thing pay. So the scale has changed.
Wow, it's in much bigger scale, and much more paperwork.
I mean, remember gold. I'm drifting to gold, but gold mining in particular, diamond mining too, actually, is very scalable. All right, you can have one guy with a gold pan or a diamond sieve standing in a river who can make a living out of it, right up to De Beers or
The giant mine
Yeah,
operation.
Anglo Barrick are these giant companies. It's a really scalable industry. And for that reason, it's a good industry for some developing countries. And I think that is not generally acknowledged by many people, just how many people survive on these industries. Your dad, I know your dad has visited these mines, Kunming.
Yes.
Where's he visited and seen this?
I think he visited in Namibia. He went to Tanzania. He also went to many parts of Burma in Indonesia. Where people are, artisanal
Yeah,
miners. They
yeah,
really benefited from this. Like places where are really really remote. It's like
yeah,
there's nothing else you can do but you just dig. and
yeah,
and most of the time I think gemstone mining, diamond, okay, for the mining part, I would say is very very simple. You don't use like chemicals or stuff, you just use water. you know so I think that's one thing that is good about mining. And I remember reading in your book, you said something about a lot of people say that mining is bad and everything, but it has a both side of the coin. It helps the human geography, it helps the people to get jobs, and it also develops the land. And this that's something that I think many people are talking about also, about the sustainability and things like that. But I think what you say is really true. Like it really helps the artisanal miners, and it's a very scalable kind of business.
yeah. I mean, I get a bit annoyed with rich people telling poor people how they should earn a living, and uh, casting judgment on what they're doing, whereas the rich person will pick up their mobile phone, which is made of all of those minerals we've been talking about, rare earths right through, and they'll happily use a mobile phone and then condemn the poor bugger
Me too.
yeah,
I use a mobile phone
condemn the
too.
poor bugger who's digging the stuff up to make the mobile phone. So the solution is actually to assist those people in ensuring that they do it in a more sustainable way.
Yeah.
And for instance, with gold mining, as I described quite quite well in my book, I think the biggest problem with artisanal gold mining is the use of mercury, which you use to
Yes.
take I'll just explain that process here.
Yes.
In artisanal gold mining, you end up with a gold pan full of black sand and a little bit of gold. Basically, the black sand is minerals like tantalite or
Mm.
tin minerals,
Yes.
ilmenite mainly, and those black sands are very heavy. In fact, they're heavier than well, they're not heavier than gold, but they're very heavy. So you
Yes.
can't. It's very difficult to separate those black minerals from gold without
Yeah.
sophisticated machinery. So the artisanal miners use mercury to mix up mix it all up, and the mercury amalgamates with the gold, and then you can just pan off the sand because you've got a big blob of mercury there that's sitting in the bottom of the pan, or the very very fine gold. It's as fine as flour very often. The only way
Mm.
you can pick it up is using this mercury. And when I was on my own dredge, we used to keep a big big coffee jar, right, full of this black sand that we panned off, and
Wow.
mercury in it, and every now and again we'd give it a shake, and then at the end of the week we'd pan it off, and you'd end up with a big blob of mercury. And I again describe how I made a still, or a device for
Yeah.
recapture, for uh, boiling off the mercury and then capturing it again at the other end of the boiling process, distillation basically, and you keep the
Wow.
mercury. And you know what? If artisanal miners are encouraged to use those machines, it would make a big difference to the mercury pollution in some of the rivers out there. Um, and yeah, so I mean, I don't. I think there is an issue with artisanal mining, but if it's controlled correctly by the government, they don't try and stamp it out. It can be a considerable benefit to some extremely disenfranchised and poverty-stricken people around the world. Some of those people I've known, I've worked with, I've lived with, have worked for me, and they're good people. And there's no, and I hate seeing them condemned by a bunch of
Mm.
other people who don't know what they're talking about.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing. I actually I just go on a little bit more on this the diamond. So this is us in 2019, and then me in your office holding some diamonds from the Allendale mine
Yeah.
around there. And yeah, I think regards just now you said something about synthetic diamonds. Yeah, because the last few years it's really been growing a lot of CVD diamonds, and the market is really changing. The white diamond, natural diamond market is really, how to say, it's kind of like responding to the whole change right now. Last year they set up this council called the Natural Diamond Council, and they are doing a lot of promotion about how natural diamond benefits the humans, benefits us, and how it develops the land. And I guess it will take some more time, and I'm hope to see that the yellow diamond mine come out again, because as we run the gem museum, I mean, Andrew can also share with you, like, many people have this idea that diamonds are only white in color, transparent, colorless, you know, and they say that, oh, I'm not so keen for diamonds, but there are so many fancy colored diamonds which add a whole new dimension to the material. Many times when you see the white diamond, it sparkles, but with the colored diamonds you can see color and at the same time a sparkle to it, so it's really very beautiful. Andrew, you got any questions for Jim, regards to diamonds, or what you have heard, Andrew?
Diamonds, right now is mainly being asked about the sustainability of the diamond mining. So like I mean, it's one of the questions that's really hard to answer. So maybe my question to maybe Jim is that what are the um, methods as a mine owner? Okay, what are the sustainable methods you have done or maybe can be done to improve the sustainability of mining?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. And that's a very good question. So I'll just clarify. I'm currently we're not currently mining diamonds. The diamond project at Allendale that we have owned, we've sold an option for that to a company called Burgundy Diamonds, who are
Yeah.
much better financed than we are, and they are currently actually building a production facility up there, and we've got a
Wow.
royalty over that, and we've been paid for that. So, you know. Um, the the answer to that question, I suppose, is to look at alternatives and benefits. The issue, first of all, with synthetics is that they do, synthetics are not environmentally as green as a lot of the producers claim. There's a great deal of energy in order to create the heat and the pressure and the machinery and so forth for the synthetic diamonds to be created. So what we as miners really need to do is to ensure that we can create a product which is using less energy and is providing employment for local people and is going to be sustainable in the long run as well. Mining is of its nature destructive in a very, very small spot, but the money and the benefits and the taxes that can be created from that small spot area of activity can create an enormous amount of benefit for the society as a whole. After you've gone, then that area gets rehabilitated and you can go and trash another area, which is another small area, which in turn can be rehabilitated. So, there's no point pretending that mining isn't destructive. It is, but only a very small areas that get rehabilitated. And I think that's the key at the Allendale project, is that the initial mining, or the mining that's currently planned, actually is mainly of alluvials, which you move from one spot to another spot very close by, and you fill in the holes as you go in a strip mining scenario, which there is an energy consumption, but other than that, there's not really any environmental destruction, because the place. I mean, I remember at the alluvials at Allendale, a place called Blina, this sort of paleo valley that goes up there, and we cleared a track there about, I know, 1 year. It was an old pastoral track that had trees on it, and we came back on that about 15 months later, and there was a tree about that big, that thick,
Wow.
that had grown in like 18 months. I mean, it was incredible. There's been a cyclone up there. We couldn't even drive down the road. So there's no issue there with the stuff growing back and rehabilitating. You just got to make sure that you do this in a manner which is gonna ensure it happens when you depart. The other part of the project there, the bit that Kunming went to, which is the Allendale 9 pipe, which is a massive mine. It's a very one of the largest diamond mines in the world at its when it was in production, and a lot of the material there that was taken out as floats, they're called, the concentrates, or the floats when you
the pulse.
When you treat the diamond kimberlite or lamproite, the material that goes through the cyclone, the heavies with the diamonds in it, goes one way, and the bulk of the material, the lights, which is about 90% of the material, goes in the other direction. Now, that material still got some diamonds in it because the metallurgical recovery plant is not perfect, and that all ended up on a pile there. It's got about 35 million tons or something on it. Some massive. No, 12 million tons, or some enormous number of material. That's got quite a lot of diamonds in it. And, one of the plans is to retreat that using a TOMRA machine, which is one of the original, which is a new type of diamond automatic sorting machine. Or I could talk about those if you want, but and then that material can be used to fill in some of the holes in the ground and some of the pits and some of the areas that are already damaged by mining. So this next phase of mining is almost like a rehabilitation phase at the same time. A lot of those plans are still in being looked at by Burgundy Diamonds, and some of them were looked at by us when we controlled the project. So there's many, in my opinion, there's decades of potential production at Allendale, but it's low grade. It's not going to be a massive throughput. What you want to do is get a continuous stream of these beautiful yellow diamonds and use the time to build the brand and educate people as to how stunning and amazing these diamonds are for their color and their clarity and their beauty.
Yeah. So I just sum up what you said was basically, as a mine, when you run a mine, you have plans in place. Even before going to do the digging, you have plans to rehabilitate the land, and you have set aside plans also to make sure you cut down the energy input. Anyway, you would also cut down the energy input because it will cost you more. So I guess these are the things. So I'm moving on to the next part, which is about the gold. So, Jimmy, so you spent some time to write this book, Gold Rush, and how I lost and made a fortune. So I understand now you're also doing a project on gold at this Edgardino. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, thanks, Kunming. So Edgardino is a gold project about 2 hours east of Kalgoorlie. Just on a corporate perspective, we had to sell we didn't have to, but we sold a option over the Allendale Diamond Project. It was the capital required for Allendale was beyond us. We were not able to raise that money ourselves. There was quite a much better resource company called Burgundy Diamonds who came in, and basically we've got a partnership type arrangement where they've got an option over it. They're spending a bunch of money. They paid us. We've got shares in that company and a royalty. And if they exercise that option, then they will end up owning the project, and we will benefit from, our shareholders will benefit from it considerably. So for us, it worked for both parties. It's a bit of a win-win deal. And in the meantime, whilst we were looking at that, this Edgardino gold project came across my desk from an old geological friend of mine who was aware of it and had it actually with another company, and we made an offer and bought it for about $500,000 Australian.
Wow.
Roughly. There's no royalty on it. I don't like paying royalties. And we did a lot of, it's a really fascinating place. It's in Archean greenstone. So most of the gold deposits in Western Australia form in these sort of Archean rocks, which are plus 2.6 billion years old, with most of them are granites. but within those granite terrains, you have these wedges of greenstones, which are essentially magnesium, iron, rich rocks, which they're called greenstones by the old timers because when they were metamorphosed, they formed chlorite, which is a green mineral. So they call them greenstones. But the gold virtually always occurs in the greenstones because these iron, magnesium rich rocks have a greater affinity for gold than do the more silicious rocks of the granites, which don't have an affinity for gold. So it was in a greenstone belt. I felt it was a bit under-drilled, and we're very good at doing historical research here. So we did a lot of reading, a lot of historical research, scoured the old library in Perth and found a few targets there that we thought were pretty good. We went in, first drill program, we hit 36 meters at 4 grams per ton from 4 meters deep. So that was really good drill intersection. 4 gram dirt means 4 grams per ton of gold. 4 grams of a gram of gold is worth about, geez, I'll take a
4 grams is like 200 something.
Yes, it's a gram of gold is 30 divided by 1800 is about, I don't know, 50 or 60 US dollars, maybe something like that. Something like that anyway. So that'd be worth, each ton of that material would be worth a couple of hundred US dollars. And a ton
so how many tons is 36 meters?
Well, that's a good question. You got to go in 3 dimensions. So to give you some idea, if 1 cubic meter of rock would be at a specific gravity of 2.6, would be which is roughly what it is 2.6 tons. Okay, so
wow, so 36 times 2.6.
Yeah, and then you've got to go, well, how far does that go north-south and how far east-west and how deep is it? I mean, that's one intersection there. But we have been doing a significant amount of drilling there. And the ore body looks like it's about 100 plus meters north-south. Maybe it's about 100 meters wide, but only about half of that is mineralized. And we're drilling down, and it's got we're down the last drilling program. I think we took it down to a depth of about 80 meters.
Wow.
TVD, true vertical depth, not downhole drill depth. So it's pretty decent. It's a pretty decent ore body. The grades look okay. We're optimistic that it'll be a commercial discovery. We've got 14 kilometers of strike here on a very extensive area of old historic workings, which is a fascinating place to walk through. In fact, I was walking through it the other day, trying to find areas of cover, which is alluvial cover, where the old timers couldn't like prospect there because they couldn't see the Archean rocks. They're covered in recent sands. So you're mapping that boundary where the recent sands start. And I came across this old timers camp, and I don't think anybody had been there for 100 years. And I had the beautiful old ironwork that had been done in a nearby, a blacksmith shop there. There was an old tent frame. There's an old tent frame still there, and there were 2 sort of old iron drums there that they would have puddled, or they would have panned the rock off. They panned to find the grade, and they had an area there they'd smashed the stone. So you get the rock, you smash it up with a hammer, you put it in a gold pan, you pan it off, and how much gold you can see gives you the approximate grade. That's how they did it. And all of those facets were there in that old camp. It was just amazing, And and the pit that they dug, the hole in the ground was there as well. In the middle of nowhere, just came across it, That is the thing I love about Western Australia. You can still go and do that. And
do you take a photograph?
Yeah, I've got a photograph of that. Actually, I'll send it up to you.
Send it to me. I'll put it up.
Yeah,
it'd be so cool.
I didn't take a photograph of the whole camp. It's 2 or 3 different photos, but yeah. So that was really, really exciting, and you're finding these areas that are prospective, but you got to drill them. You can mess about taking samples for forever, but ultimately you just get a drill rig in there and drill the hell out of them, and you get an answer. And mineral exploration is about getting an answer, because there's always too many questions.
Wow. So you basically will go where no old man has gone before, because they
Not exactly. I mean, there's quite a
they-
few people have been there, but we've got to go somewhere and you've got to see something that no man has seen before,
yeah, like
or think something. To find the ore body, you've got to first imagine it in your mind. Okay. And then if you can imagine it in your mind, you know how to look for it. It's like if you're looking for a lost sock in your house, you've got to know what the sock looks like to find it.
wow, that's amazing. Can you talk a little bit about this phosphate mine too? Because it seems like you are doing all sorts of different mining. What's the difference between a phosphate mine and a diamond mine and a gold mine?
Okay, so they've all got geology in common, and mineral exploration principles are the same for all of these commodities. You can do any commodity if you're an exploration geologist. You just got to be reasonably good at chemistry and geology to figure it out. But we floated the company on this phosphate project during the phosphate boom in 2008, where the Moroccans and others were holding back phosphate production, and the world phosphate price went from about, I don't know, $50 a ton to about 450. And there was a
Wow.
massive scramble for phosphate, particularly from India, which is very vulnerable as a food security issue, because if they don't have fertilizer, which is of course what phosphate's used for, then their food production will collapse basically, or go down considerably. So we had this project that we procured off a group, and we floated that. In fact, that was the first mineral deposit that was floated by this company, and it was we went up there. We raised we spent $10 million on that project, and ultimately it didn't progress because the phosphate price collapsed on us. We still got that project in the company. It's still a good project. It's close enough to the coast that you can have a crack at exporting it, or even set up a small fertilizer plant up there, or sell the rock phosphate for palm oil plantation work or something like that. But we drilled it, we did a resource over it, we did metallurgical work, but it shows the risk that you've got in mineral exploration. You can spend $10 million, and at the end of it, you can have nothing to show for it.
Man.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough game,
Wow.
like that. And we did that.
Wow.
And that was a we shouldn't have done it. In hindsight, we probably overdid it there, but it looked good at the time. The shareholders, that's what the shareholders, they put their money in for the phosphate, and we went and did what we said we were going to do. But I'm still hoping, it's a good project, and I'm still hoping to sell that project onto a stock market or a group that is interested in fertilizer. The price of phosphate is coming up again. So if any of your people listening are interested in a phosphate project in Australia, give me a call.
Yeah, sure. Wow. That's very interesting,
Yeah.
And then anyway, Jim, just now you were saying 1 hour is too long. We are almost done,
Yeah,
Can you
no, I'm
believe it?
amazed by that. Yeah.
And so before we're going to close, Andrew, you got any questions for Jim?
So far not yet.
So I want to ask you, because our museum, we have been visited by many children, and yesterday there was a young Japanese boy, and text me and asked me how to tune in to this broadcast. So I presume he's tuning in. So what will you tell a child? Hi, Sasuke, if you're tuning in,
Yeah.
this
Hi,
is for you.
Suzuki.
Yeah. What would you tell a child who dreams about gold mining and diamond mining, Jim?
Okay, so I mean, I was that child. All right, I just loved the idea of it, and as a kid, probably just like you, Kunming, I was the kid who was hanging around the museums. I loved all the rock collections and the natural world, and I would tell that kid, keep pestering your parents to take you to the museum, and keep looking at all of the natural world presented in the museums. And their museums, including your museum, Kunming, that's absolutely fantastic when I went there. Go and study in the museums, start a rock collection, and make sure that you annotate the rock collection with each rock, make little notes, get a notebook and make little notes about your collection and what you find, Go into your back garden if you've got one, or the local park, and pick up things that interest you and describe them in your notebook, and collect them in little plastic food bags or something. Start collecting things and read around the subject. So find a book, pester your parents to go to the best bookshop in Singapore or Japan or wherever it is, and in that bookshop, go to the geology section. And geology is a great subject because it's got lots of pictures, it's got beautiful images, and then you can start connecting the little minerals that you're finding with the stuff in the book or the museum. And science is all about connecting things and patterns. When those patterns start to jump out, the beauty jumps out, and you will be captured by it. The gold mining and the diamond mining, they will come, but I would not recommend Singapore, at least as a gold mining destination. Wonderful place though it is for food and everything else and people, but Japan has got a couple of fantastic gold mines, epithermal gold mines there, very high grade, and you can go to those places, no doubt, and you'd probably be able to pick up some old rock samples from around them, or the waste dump or something, if you can get on there safely. So yeah, just get out there and start collecting.
Wow, thanks, Jim. That was a really good sharing, about how to practical steps for really growing your interest. One last question here is the other way around. What would you tell a parent whose child dreams about gold mining and diamond mining?
Yeah, I listen to the child and take all the things I said to the child there. Do what the child tells you to do. You take that child to the museum. You take him outside collecting. Get him a little hand lens. I haven't got one here. A little loop or hand lens that he can look at the rocks with, and a magnifying glass and the notebook. Buy the odd little rock perhaps, and take him out on the field trips or to the museums and to the natural world. Take him outside. Don't keep him on do not put him on the screens, because you don't learn geology from a screen. You've got to learn it from a book. A book is better than a screen. So that's my advice.
Jim, you were writing in your book, you will say that, where were you when you were young? You were in England, is it?
I grew up in Wales.
Wales,
which is to the west of England, and I went to school there. I grew up on a farm, and I was involved in hunting and shooting and fishing, and I had quite an outdoorsy kind of life. There's a picture of me in the book actually holding up a fish as a little 12-year-old, 10-year-old kid or something. So I was quite an outdoorsy kid. I loved the natural world, and I had the privilege of growing up in a beautiful part of mid Wales.
Wow. Because you said something like in Wales there's not much mining going on. So it's like Singapore. Singapore, we don't have mining here. Apart maybe mining Bitcoin, maybe, but not
Yeah, it's not the same. I don't know much about that, mate, I can tell you. But the thing is though, Wales used to be a world centre for copper mining. And lead and zinc mining, used to supply the world with coal. There's fantastic geology in Wales. They're just not mining it because the politicians have shut it all down, basically, and environmental reasons and community expectations and so forth. So that's what happened to the mining. And big mines in Australia have displaced small mines in Wales. But it's a great place to learn geology. And although Singapore itself, I suspect there's not much, there's a bit of alluvial stuff there and whatever, but you have got, when you go into Malaysia, you jump in your car. Malaysia has got a fantastic geology and a lot of tin mining, a lot of granitic, porphyritic granites, with very fantastic crystals and minerals and all those old tin mines in Malaysia would be great places to collect rocks. And I'm sure plenty of them are accessible too, by car. So Malaysia's fantastic. Thailand, when I went to Thailand to Phuket last, there's a mining museum in Phuket. Quite hard to go. Nobody goes there apart from apparently me, but they had, because Phuket used to be a lot of tin dredging there, as it was in Malaysia. So with a little, just yeah, Google it up. There's lots of places to go mineral collecting, which aren't that ambitious, to get to. COVID hasn't helped, but we're coming out of that now, and hopefully our best mineral collecting days are ahead of us.
Wow, that's great. Andrew, any last questions? No?
I'm
Okay.
good. Thanks, Jim.
So
Yeah, thank
maybe
you.
maybe just some closing thoughts, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's for kids. Get out there, get a little hammer, pair of safety glasses, and start looking at things, because the best geologists and the best scientists are inquisitive, and they're always asking questions. And a great place to start if you're in Singapore is in Kunming's museum, which has got a beautiful rock collection, and I loved going there myself. So you've got to get out of the house, and that's how you do it. Okay,
Wow.
get out, ask questions.
Thank you so much, Jim. Really, thank you for taking this time to speak with us about your projects. And just want to show you all some websites you can go to. And let me see, put it on here. Yeah, this GibbRiverDiamonds.com is Jim's company. And you can also go to jimrichards.com.au, where you can find his resources about his book, and and connect with him. And those of you who are interested in the phosphate mine, you can send him a tinker on the phosphate mine and all these mines. And their stocks are listed on the Australian Stock Exchange. So if you want to find out more, just go and head down to GibbRiverDiamonds.com. Yeah. So thank you very much, Jim, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Kunming, and thanks everybody for your time. Thank you, Andrew, and look
Yeah.
forward to catching you again sometime. Thanks for the
Okay.
time. Cheers.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.